Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back to the show. We are so excited to have our guest here today, our CEO and therapist, Amy Vander, in response to momentoftruthpt.com. That is her website. We're talking about Moment of Truth Healing Space, and we're here talking to her now more about the work she's doing and excited to talk to her about that. So let me first and foremost start off by, where are you located? You're in a beautiful state, aren't you? With good weather.
Yeah, Victoria, Arizona. It's nice and sunny and beautiful here right now. We're just northwest in the Phoenix Valley.
Beautiful. And so here, as a therapist, let me just ask just a little bit about yourself. If you don't mind starting off by telling me a little bit about your background.
Yeah, of course. So I've been a physical therapist for 23 years, getting up there into the numbers that it's like, oh my gosh.
I'm 45. It's okay. It's all
Yeah,
right.
I'm just a couple years older and have had my own practice now for, gosh, going on 10, 11 years. So that really started because of my love of myofascial release. And so, yeah, we have a pelvic physical therapy practice here in the Phoenix area and love it.
Beautiful. Well, it's momentoftruthpt.com. You want to give us your email and or phone number, any social media pages as well before we continue?
Absolutely. So we have the yoga studio here. So that's Healing Space Yoga Studio, has its own Facebook, Instagram. azhealingspace.com is that website. And then for physical therapy, super passionate about education. So we have the Moment of Truth Physical Therapy Facebook page, Instagram, and
YouTube channel.
YouTube channel. You got it, girl. You know. So yeah, we have all of that going on. Have a couple podcasts of my own. So yeah, love educating, especially women.
Fantastic. And I know you've been married for 23 years. My goodness, congrats.
Yeah.
And how old are you kids?
My kids are, I have a girl who just turned 18. I'm not sure how that's possible. And then my son is 15.
Oh my gosh. Well, congratulations on that. So let's
Thanks.
get into some of the specifics. I mean, again, the YouTube channel, I know you're very passionate about. So you said the first, that pelvic PT exists for women who truly want to know their bodies, take control of their health. For someone who had two kids and both times had bladder incontinence, I had prolapse. I was like, what is this? What do I do? No one ever told me, sorry, with labor that this is like very common. And I had no idea what was going on after I had the baby. I just felt weird. And then one day I looked down and I'm like, oh my, I had no idea. Like, I wish they would have warned me about this ahead of time because I could have done preparational exercise. Is that part of it as well? I mean,
Absolutely. And that's why one of my main phrases is kind of no settling, no suffering, no shame. Because again, most women have no idea pelvic physical therapy exists. We are very confused by different messaging around what's common versus what's normal. So we do a lot of talking about that. And so it might be common to leak pee after having several kiddos, or might be common to have some issues with prolapse, especially with maybe
yeah.
subsequent deliveries or more challenging delivery, or there's lots of factors for that. But again, women don't know that there's help. So we talk a lot about that, no settling, no suffering, and no shame. We work a lot with painful sex, and I'm extremely passionate about helping women have better sex, no matter their age, no matter number of kids, or any of the other factors they might be facing.
Beautiful. So again, Moment of Truth Healing Space includes the full yoga private, the studio, the pelvic physical therapy, massage therapy, and so much more. So what did you want to get into today for the show? Where would you like to start? I mean, I know you have some specifics there of what you wanted to cover for today.
Well, yeah, again, I think along that messaging of helping women know their bodies, we are one of the only practices in the Valley. There aren't too many that treat men. Men need pelvic physical therapy far less often. But even with them, they have no idea that they
True.
don't have to wait till prostate surgery or
Mm-hmm.
worry about erectile dysfunction or hemorrhoids or a lot of the other issues that, again, most people think there's either only medication or surgery as solutions. And that just isn't true. There's so much that we can do for healing in the body, for taking pressure out of the system, for taking inflammation, tension out of the system. We do treat the whole body. It's part of the whole myofascial release approach. But um, I definitely spend a lot of my days educating because most people have, again, have never heard of pelvic PT, but they've also never really heard of myofascial work. So we do a lot of teaching.
Awesome. And also, you mentioned no settling, no suffering, no shame. Did you want to talk about some of the activities and workouts that we could do in particular to help us and the types of therapies that you offer?
Absolutely, Jill. I think we work with runners, CrossFitters, people that just want to be able to lift their kids in strollers and all the things that we're always juggling in and out of
Oh,
the
by the
car,
way,
right? In the store.
September 18th, I just had double hernia surgery. My
Oh my
kids are
gosh.
6 and 8, but I still have that double stroller. I'm lifting it in and out for all the sports. I'm carrying their bags. I'm carrying everything around the house. So, let alone pelvic issues, I don't have enough strength in my abdominal issue at 45. So, these things are so serious. I'm sorry to interject there, but it's just, you
No, you're
mentioned lifting stroller. That's how I think I did it.
well, and well, gosh, and you mentioned sports. Those sports wagons, God bless. So those are brutal too. And so, yeah, women are kind of known for doing all the things all the time. And so, big part, we really want to empower women to know their own body. So they're not relying on me or any other health provider to know what to do or to trust whether or not they need surgery or to trust whether or not they need fill in the blank, really. And so we do have the yoga studio here, and that's really twofold. Yes, yoga is very safe for pregnancy and postpartum. It's a great place to start for rebuilding your core. But deeper than that, the main reason I opened the yoga studio was there's so few things in our world that help us to slow down and stop
Hmm.
and breathe and to learn how to trust ourselves again and to learn how to kind of look inward and really, again, trust that what we're feeling is true, trust that our own experience in our own bodies is true. Women have been told for so long, oh, no, it can't be that bad. We didn't find anything on MRI. No, I'm sure sex isn't that painful. Have a glass of wine. And I'm not exaggerating. These are things that women tell me all the time. So, well, of course, you should just have a hysterectomy. You're done having kids. Why would you need your
Yeah.
uterus? There's just so many things that I don't want women. Now, if you want to go have a hysterectomy, that's a different conversation. But I want women to know their options and to know their own health and know their own anatomy. And so that kind of really is what drives a lot of
Hmm.
our educational content.
And also, did you want to focus a little bit more on some other specific areas, or did you want to kind of get into the whole behind the Amy Vander Linden and how, you
Oh
know,
gosh.
yeah, growing
Wherever you
up,
want to take it, Jill.
your back,
Whatever.
let's get your backstory. Let's get your backstory. I think that's always an important thing to do.
Mostly from Arizona. Lived for 11 years of childhood in Maryland, then back to Arizona for undergrad. Ended up getting into Boston University for grad school. That must have been God's plan. I really am still unsure how that happened. I think Boston's one of the coolest cities in the country and had a blast there. Although grad school, I worked my rear end off, but ended up married to an awesome man. He was my nice, safe accounting computer geek and decided to go back to the fire world. So I'm a fire wife. He's been on the department now 18 years. So it's a good life for us. We love it. And again, have the two kids. But I really never grew up seeing myself as an entrepreneur. I never had any of these visions of owning my own business or starting a company or things like that. And it was really when I started taking the myofascial classes back in 2009 that gave me back that love of healing and love of the body and all that we're capable of, that really to have the impact I wanted to have and be able to share that particular gift and technique with my clients, I really kind of just decided to forge my own path. So that's a very short backstory.
No, that's beautiful. Oh my goodness. All right. And clearly you love what you do. Now, by the way, can we talk a little about the in-person services? And there's also some virtual services too, right?
Not a ton of virtual. So we do have the sex webinar that's about ready to go out online, as well as a mom-daughter Know Your Body workshop that we're going to create into an online webinar. Again, just out of that passion of wanting girls and women to know their own anatomy, know their own bodies, and not have so much confusion, not have so much feeling at the mercy of other healthcare providers. But most of our services are in person. We're looking at your body, face to face. especially because work in the pelvic area is extra sacred. I think anytime you're going to put your hands on someone, that's a
Mhm.
privilege and an honor and should be taken very seriously in any context, but especially when if you think really about any statistics around the likelihood that a woman's had some birth trauma or possibly some childhood trauma, sexual trauma, infertility, miscarriages. If you factor in those statistics, the chance that someone walking through our door doesn't have some level of trauma is almost zero. And so we take that very, very seriously. It's part of why our work is foundational with the myofascial and trauma informed care. And so we have individual treatment rooms here. I think that face-to-face personal connection is pretty sacred for creating that safe space. Safety is our number one core value here. And so we don't do a lot of telehealth or telemedicine. We do all of that in person. Our yoga classes are available live via Zoom, just also for convenience. But we do focus mostly especially for the myofascial and massage, on in-person services.
Oh yeah, and by the way, not everybody may know what that even is. So tell me about
100%. So your
myofascial
fat
massage.
is all
Thank
your
you.
connective tissue. Doesn't have to be super mysterious. We're basically a giant sack of tubes and wires and organs, which are basically like
Bones.
balloons,
Mhm.
and our bones are sort of like columns. And so your fascia is what connects it all. And one part can pull on another part, and it's literally like the silly song, the thigh bone's connected to the knee bone and all
Uh-huh.
that. And so your fascia helps regulate tension everywhere, and your nerves and your blood vessels have to go through that fascial web, so to speak. And it can control and influence the fluidity in our systems. And so we don't want that fluid, either from trauma or inflammation or injury or what have you, to start to get sludgy. We want things to be flowing. We want things to be slidey glidey. Surgeries and scars, even something tiny like an episiotomy scar or like a smaller incision from a scope. They do so many amazing surgeries via scope now. Probably your hernia surgeries, even, that the incisions can be very
The
small. The
robotic arms.
tissue
Yep.
can,
Hmm.
yeah, it can still kind of fragment the fluidity and energy of the body. And so we do a lot of work to help create that flow again and remove those restrictions, take pressure off of hoses and nerves.
And let me ask this, you work with people, let's start while they're pregnant, right? So before, during, and after. Could you share a little bit about that journey and why you think it's important for those that may be pregnant to start on this journey?
Yeah, and I think I'll kind of start at the end and work backwards a little bit. So women are coming to me all the time and they're asking, is such and such normal, right? Do I look normal down there? And I would really like to get to where, all the way back to teen years, when we start our period and menstruating and all of that, and have girls learn about their body, learn our normal cycle of discharge and bleeding and our own fertility, so that again, they're not at the mercy of misinformation online
Hmm.
or certain providers. And then from there, they know, it's normal for us to have certain lubrication and discharge at different times of the month. And that doesn't mean you have a yeast infection or UTI. It doesn't mean you're disgusting. It doesn't mean anything's wrong. Please don't douche. Like, it's like, don't mess with the pH down there, and just kind of start from those teen years. And then into pregnancy, I think if we could go back to that point, I think we could have a really positive impact on some of the things that are hijacking our fertility so often right now. Then into pregnancy, again, women don't have to suffer with, oh, the baby's on your bladder, so you're going to leak pee, or oh, there's nothing you can do about that diastasis or separation of your ab muscles. Baby's going to get how big baby's going to get. These are things women are told. There's pain at the pubic bone. It's a specific kind of disorder, dysfunction. And often, again, women are just told, well, baby's just going to get bigger. It'll get better after they come out. It's like there's a lot that we can do to have a much more comfortable pregnancy, help women feel a lot more prepared going into delivery. And I think my favorite thing about working with pregnant women is helping them know the pros and cons. I was actually reading an article this morning, and I think instead of C-sections, we should start calling it what it really is: major abdominal baby extraction surgery. It is
I
massive
can't
surgery.
understand. And my cousin had twins. She had a C-section just 2 months ago. She was in the hospital for 3 days. That was it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? Normally I heard it's like two, but like, how is that after having the hernia surgery? and not having abs because they cut into your abs three different. But again, this is not full slice going in, organs out, organ. I'm like, how the heck could you take care of your children afterwards? Why do people think this is like, do men make the rules? I mean, because, right, what is a
That
standard?
probably wouldn't be a very productive rant. It's one I've gone on
You
often.
have a C-section. How many days standard is it? Like 2 days in the
To stay in the
hospital?
hospital, it's usually like 2 to 3 instead of 1 to 2. It's only one extra day most of the time, unless there's some issues
How
with.
about a week? I mean, it's that brutal.
And
I
how
can't
about a
speak.
meal service and a cleaning person? And they just send you home with this random list of don'ts. You're not supposed to lift over 10 pounds. You can't vacuum for
And what if your baby's 10
6
pounds?
weeks.
I mean,
God forbid you put the baby in the car seat. Yeah, I know. It's insane. And so, yeah, we need to start calling it major. I think the extraction part comes from being a fire wife. That's what they call, and they have to cut people out of
yes,
cars.
that's exactly with
Yeah,
the special
it is
tools. Yeah.
major abdominal surgery. Major. Yeah. So we help women know the pros and cons. And
Well, yeah,
some of the things.
look, if someone gets into a car accident and like, your husband's there on the scene and they slice their abdomen open and they seal it up, that person's in the hospital for quite a few days. And I mean, the trauma, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I'm sorry, but
Doesn't.
I'm
You're
going back to
so
that.
right. Yeah, you're so right. But yeah, help them know, like, if you have a vaginal delivery, you can help with this. If you do end up with an abdominal C-section, we can still help you with the scar tissue. We can help you regain that confident engagement of your core and your abs, whether it's diastasis, leaking pee, painful sex, all the things that influence recovery. Even, some women that get really upset, they really wanted a natural vaginal delivery, so they get really hijacked and traumatized by having a C-section. And so just being able to have a lot of those conversations and set up healthier expectations, because a lot of times in the moment, there's not informed consent. They're not told these are the pros and cons of Pitocin, which is the drug they use to induce most often. This is why we're recommending this. This is what we think you should do. What would you like to do? That would be truly informed consent. That's not happening, especially in moments of urgency, crisis, whatever. And so just really being able to have some of those conversations so women feel a lot more knowledgeable in a very unpredictable, unsettling situation. I'm also a big
Got it.
advocate for doulas. They're so great to have in the room with you, kind of be that go-to person to help you if decisions come up.
And I was going to ask you that. Yeah. Could you explain what that is? A doula compared to a midwife? Is it the same thing?
No, so
Okay.
midwives are like OBGYNs in that they can deliver the baby. Depending on level of midwifery training, they can prescribe things, they can stitch if there's some small tearing or what have you. The doula is more of a birth and delivery coach. Um, Again, it kind of spans. A lot of doulas also do photography. Some doulas also do placenta encapsulation and some other services, but they're more to coach and be an advocate for you throughout the process. And the great thing about a doula is whether you're having a home birth, a birth center delivery, or a hospital delivery, they can be with you. And if things
Okay.
change, maybe you're planning a home birth, but something's going on with your heart rate or blood pressure or babies, and you have to transport to the hospital, the doula can go with you. Sometimes your midwife can't. So,
Interesting. Well, gosh, what happened with COVID?
yeah, yeah.
Right? So many people lack the care, the experience, I mean,
Well, you're in
oh,
New York, right? So it was way
yes.
worse there. Yeah, really, really difficult season for everybody.
Oh my goodness. Again, also want to point out, Amy, tell us the website one more time before we continue.
Momentoftrutht.com.
Perfect. And also, I want to let you all know men too can benefit from your services. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Most of the time, men develop pelvic issues either from direct trauma. It can be a little bit more common in cyclists, um, power lifters, weightlifters, gymnasts. They just have really tense pelvic floor muscles. Men have 2 layers instead of 3. But even something as seemingly benign or simple as hemorrhoids can really lead to a lot of problems. And most of
Okay.
the time, first given cream or medication, then sometimes they'll do hemorrhoidectomies where they kind of ablate and close off the hemorrhoids, but those can sometimes lead to fissures, which are severely painful. And if you kind of go back to what I was saying about fascia and just taking pressure out of the system and pressure off of those nerves, and which are basically our wires and tubes, and sort of mitigating or dispersing some of the pressure on the blood vessels, we can have a very positive impact on hemorrhoids, and by the same mechanism help, either Cialis or Viagra both function through improving blood flow. So we can do that same thing, taking tension out of the fascial system, addressing things that could be restricting blood flow down there to either the penis or the clitoris, can improve sexual function for men and women.
Interesting. Wow. See, this is great. Men and women she serves. All right. We still got just, oh my gosh, only 4 minutes left in the show. Amy, what else did you want to make sure we share for today?
Oh gosh. Again, I think one of my most passionate topics recently has been helping men and women have their best sex whenever, even that if that's in their 40s, 50s, 60s. And I think a lot of that starts from, again, knowing our own anatomy. Most men are very eager to do their best possible work if they knew better. And I think it really goes back to women not knowing their own bodies. If we could kind of jump all the way back to kindergarten, when we first were taught that boys have a penis and girls have what were we taught?
Vagina. Yeah.
Which is not accurate. So yes, girls have a vagina, but our sexual
we
organs
should say, wait, so what should we be saying? Because I have 6 and 8-year-old.
Girls have a clitoris.
Clitoris.
Our sexual organ, and the clitoris is much larger than it appears. We mostly know about the nub that can be so sensitive just under the urethra at the top of the vaginal opening, but the legs of the crura of the clitoris actually go down inside like a wishbone. And sometimes during internal penetration, that can be very positive, or just that pressure even on the outer part. But more than 60% of women require clitoral stimulation for orgasm. Yeah. And there's some variation on this, but even on the shorter, quicker end, it takes women an average of 14 to 20 minutes. Average, guys, 14 to 20 minutes. Go set a timer for 14 minutes. You will be shocked how long it is. So 14 to 20 minutes to reach orgasm.
And a man, in comparison, tell us.
Oh, gosh, like 2 to 6.
Yeah.
So
be aware, be compassionate, gentlemen.
And most women will not orgasm from penetration. And I don't think most men or women know that. And so we have these totally skewed expectations going into an already challenging, not discussed, loaded with different belief systems and upbringings. And I'm just trying to help educate so that people can just relax and embrace their bodies and understand their own bodies and know what to tell their partners and have a lot better sex.
Beautiful. Thank you so
My
much.
little
Pleasure.
contribution.
Well, we appreciate you. Amy Vander, Linden, tell us again how we can reach out to you.
So we're here in Peoria, Arizona, outside Phoenix. Momentoftruthpt.com is the website. Would love for you guys to jump on the YouTube channel. Again, I'm really passionate about educating. We have 53 episodes of a Bellies, Babies, and Birth podcast, a lot of info around pregnancy and postpartum, as well as a Change the Conversations podcast, where, again, I'm just trying to open up and change some of these discussions around sensitive topics. So, and again, tons and tons of videos, all related to pelvic health, pregnancy, postpartum, men too, all on that YouTube channel, lots of video content.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Pleasure having you here. So excited to talk to you, and looking forward to the next time we speak. Thank you again.
Thanks so much, Jill. Looking forward to it.
Same here. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.